And so I'm very, very proud and happy to introduce to you Larry Butler from Boggy Creek Farm.
Well, looks like we've got a pretty rowdy crowd out here. That's what Monsanto needs, I think. We started farming back in, the early 90s, 91 to be exact, and that was just about at the time when GMOs were really getting ready to catch on. And, you know, we already had Terminator corn, which is really not GMO'd at that time to speak of, but it was a situation where you only could buy your seed corn from like, well, either Monsanto or you could get it from some other seed companies affiliated with them. But it was what they call Terminator corn. So you could go out there and you could save your seed and you could plant your corn and the corn would come up and it'd be gorgeous corn. Beautiful stuff. But it just wouldn't make any corn. So saving your seed on a Terminator corn made no sense at all because it just wouldn't make any corn. So then they elected to, Monsanto makes a product, a weed killer called Roundup. Has anybody heard of Roundup? Okay. It's a glyphosate. It's really pretty nasty stuff actually. And so they needed a corn where they could come in and they could plant the corn and you could spray it with Roundup and it would kill all the weeds, but it wouldn't kill the corn. So therefore the farmer didn't have to go out and field cultivate his corn anymore. He could just fly over it with a big airplane, cover the place with Roundup, kill all the weeds, and the corn grew great. And so there you became your first GMO'd corn that was Roundup ready. And since then they've made soybeans Roundup ready, cotton Roundup ready, corn Roundup ready. Now to add another little twist to the corn, there's a little worm that gets in there and he eats on the seed corn. Or if it's the stalk borer, he's going to eat the stalk, and the other one, the ear corn worm, actually gets in and eats on the ear corn. Now the corn worm has several different names, and it's the same word. If it's on a tomato, it's a tomato fruit worm. If it's on the corn, it's a corn worm. If it's on cotton, it's a cotton boll worm. It just depends on which it's on. It's what it is. And so they wanted to come up with a corn that where they wouldn't have to spray it. Well, Bacillus thuringiensis is a very, very good poison for worms because it doesn't really have much human effect. We could have a small amount of it in our system at any one point in time and really not feel any bad effects from it. But when they came up with the Roundup Ready corn and the BT in the corn, the BT corn, what it did, it allowed, if that worm got on any part of that corn, he's dead. It doesn't matter whether he's on the silk or on the tassel or on the stalk or on the ear corn or the root. The BT is in every cell of that corn. Well, where it starts coming about to where it may have human effects, if you're eating corn products such as corn tortillas or cornbread or corn pone, whatever, if you eat a lot of it, then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be ingesting this bacteria every day. And there have been some cases where, say, corn was eaten raw. So like in a roasting ear. And so you eat the corn, and what they're beginning to find now is that some of this Bacillus thuringiensis is actually habitating in our guts. So we now harbor this pesticide in us. Have a little of it every once in a while somewhere down the road, not bad. It's just specific to worms, but for having it to be growing in our bodies is something we really don't need. And so what we want to do is we would like to see more grocery stores come up. It's going to be, grocery stores come up with a labeling. So you, as an individual, I know we're all a bunch of dumb idiots out there, and we don't know what's good for ourselves, and they know everything and what's good for us. But we should be able to make our own choice. You know, and so if we can't get rid of the product, then vote with your dollar, and then you either make the election as to whether you're going to purchase these goods or you're not going to purchase these goods. But as it is right now, you're going down there, every time you drink a soda water that's got high fructose corn syrup in it, you have made the choice to support BT corn. The one thing about this corn, I remember as a child growing up, we had regular old flint corn out there that made great roasting ears. And so the fellow across the street, or across the road from our old house up in Gauls in Milam County, he used to come by every year because he grew this big, huge field of corn. And he'd tell my dad, he would say, "Hilton, go get all the corn you want because I don't want to make a thief out of you." So he figured we was going to go steal it, and he did anyway, which we already had. We already had the freezer full. Well, you could take that ear of corn and you could roast it up, put a little butter on it. God, they were delicious. But the corn now it's grown and it's been hybridized and GMO'd to produce mainly starch. So the more starch you have, the more alcohol you can make for biofuels. The more starch, more sugars that you can make from that high fructose corn syrup. And it's extremely cheap because the government subsidizes it, and these big, huge companies, they get on the growing end of the subsidies, and then when they make that bad food and they sell it in the stores, they make again. So they're paid to grow the product, and they're also paid at the end with the products that they got. They get people buy the products. And I noticed you have some popcorn down there. We're kind of lucky these days because they haven't GMO'd popcorn yet. Yeah, I mean, there just has not been enough money in it for these big, huge corporations to GMO popcorn. But if it gets real popular, to where you take that popcorn and you start making flour, and you start making the tortillas out of popcorn flour instead of just the regular old flint corn flour, at some point in time, they're going to get on that bandwagon, figure it out, and there'll be GMO and that stuff too. Wheat's another one that they really haven't GMO'd yet because they really haven't. It's sort of a perfect grain. You grow it in the wintertime, there's not a lot of weeds, there's not a lot of bugs that like it. So they really haven't got into doing a lot of wheat GMO yet. But I feel like as big a crop as that is, it's going to be coming soon. There are some grocery stores, Whole Foods being one of them, and I talked to a lady today that they, within 5 years, they're going to have full traceability on everything that comes into their store, and they're going to let you know if it has GMOs or not, and they're going to be doing testing of all those products that come into the store, and if they have GMOs in them, they're going to send them back to the vendor. So that's a good thing coming in 5 years. They're a big, huge company. They're a big, huge company, so it takes time when you have 300 or 400 huge grocery stores to get this all implemented. And somebody said, well, why don't they just do it today? And I said, well, if they did it today, half the stuff in the store would be gone. And 90% of things in like H-E-B or Albertsons or places like that, they would be gone because it's just about everything. And high fructose corn syrup is such widely used product. My God, they put it in saltine crackers. Now, what do you need it in saltine crackers for? So, you really have to watch what you eat, watch what you put in your body. Now, you can make your here's the way we elected to do it.